Welcome to Crystal Clear Finances, where we understand that, well, finances, they can be confusing, but you don't have to face it alone and you can have confidence for every financial decision. My name is Crystal Langdon. I'm a certified financial planner, qualified Kingdom advisor, founder of Crystal Clear Finances, and your host for the next few minutes. Now, today I am excited because if you've been listening to the Crystal Clear Finances podcast or you've watched our YouTube channel, you knew this day was coming. This is the day that we get to have Managing Director, co-founder of PEM Life, James Blanton with us. So James, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited about this.
I am too, because we have spent last month just talking about the personal economic model. And while you know, and I know what that is, many people, James, they have no clue what we're talking about. And so we've spent the time in October to go through it step by step, what it looks like and why it's so important in our lives. And the truth of the matter is, at Crystal Clear Finances, one of our goals is to help our clients have confidence for every financial decision. But the way to do that is they have to understand how money works. And then how do we get people to understand how money works? Well, we've got to show them the personal economic model. And so even though I have clients come in, James, they've million dollars plus, we always go back to the beginning and say, this is how money works. Here's how the tanks work. Here's how your personal economic model works. Because I truly believe that if individuals will understand their personal economic model, they'll be able to create and cultivate and keep wealth in a tax efficient manner. If they don't, and you know this, then money is lost unknowingly and unnecessarily. And that's what we don't want to see happen. So I thought we could spend the time together telling individuals not only what we do, and I think they already know that, but I want to tell them, James, what you do and what PEM Life is all about. Because I look at it this way and I think, if individuals who came to my office, if they knew about the PEM before they got to me, then we could move forward on the more advanced areas that we need to do. So there's ways we can do self-study and prepare Americans across this country to understand the personal economic model. Think of what we would do. I mean, the change that we would have, that would be pretty awesome. So
That's what we're after, and really, we the traditionally our educational system has not done the best job of preparing people to understand the reality of what is going on with their finances and what happens when they make particular decisions. Some of the common wisdom out there might not be the wisdom we want to follow if we are looking to secure our long-term financial future. And where in there do we find the path that we need to walk? Advisors such as yourself do a great job of helping people to walk that path. But I agree, an understanding, a general understanding of many of these topics before you even get started, I think would be a tremendous benefit. For folks to have just a base level of understanding. And unfortunately, we haven't done the best job in the past of teaching that to our students. And that's one of our focuses with PEM Life, is to reach students at a critical time in their lives, before they enter the real world, before they start making consequential decisions with the income that they're going to be able to generate with the degrees that they're earning, and put them on a path that's going to allow them to reach where they want to go for the future. We're all trying to solve the same problem. Exactly. And that problem is that we want to be able to live in the future, at least the way we live today, if not better, all the way to our life expectancy. That is what financial success looks like to me. And I know that's what you help prepare people to do. And our personal finance curriculum really gives people an introduction to that journey that they're looking to go on. So we're excited.
Well said. Well said. And I'm excited for us to dive into it. I want to give a little background so people know how we met. I think it was about 14 years ago, I started getting involved with Circle of Wealth. And many of my listeners should be very familiar about Circle of Wealth. It's one of the most fascinating financial planning tools that are out there that literally helps advisors be able to articulate complex financial decisions they need to make, how money works, and then put it in a way that, hey, I can understand this. This doesn't have to be confusing, and they can see the results of choices that they make. And so I went to Circle of Wealth College, which we call Cow College, and that's where I met your dad, Don Blanton. And I was just blown away. And I came home and I remember telling my husband, I've got to be in that master mentor program. I would fly out to California 4 times a year just to be trained by Don and his team. And eventually I got to be a master mentor. Eventually I got to be on the Circle of Wealth stage and be able to teach. That's been a lot of fun. I went to Grand Canyon. I don't know if you knew that. Your dad took me to the Grand Canyon with the
Okay, yeah.
hoppers. And just, it was such a great time because who he is on stage is who he is in the car. Who he is just helping people. And I remember he said one driving thing that has always stayed with me. And he said, my job is to change the insurance industry, the finance industry. And the reason why he wanted to do that is so that people, every person in this country, every person listening to the sound of our voice could understand how money works and then be able to change their lives. And think of the impact that has from generation to generation. You can get behind a vision like that that says, you know what? Everyone deserves the ability and deserves the right to understand how money works. And so that's when I was like, sign me up. This is what I want to do and bring in my practice. It has impacted my practice in such a way. Now, we use more of the advanced tools of PEM. We have the spending game. We have different tools that we use. But to me, the foundational tools in what PEM Life offers, I think is phenomenal. So before we jump into that, give a little bit of background on yourself, and then we'll dive into the fun of PEM Life.
Sure. So you've heard a little bit about my dad. He's considered one of the top trainers of financial advisors in the country.
Absolutely.
To me, he's dad. We he started in the insurance industry in 1986. I would have been 4 at that time. But when he got started, he noticed that there was training for professionals in the industry, but there really wasn't anything that would allow a professional in the industry to sit down with a client and educate them about these topics of finance that he was trying to utilize to help them, convince them that what he was suggesting would be able to improve their financial future. It can be a tough sell sometimes if you're unable to really prove that to somebody,
Right.
because there are all of these misconceptions we have out
Mhm.
there about the way things work. And we need a reliable understanding of the way financial mechanisms actually work, not just how we perceive them to work.
Correct.
So he went to work building software tools and training programs for advisors to help them parlay these concepts to others, help them to be able to convince others of the truth that exists, but might not be easily seen all the time with the way we approach our finances. So over the years, I've had a number of opportunities to be involved in that company with him, and I remember the very early days. I would be in there putting stickers on folders, and
Yep.
we had 3.5-inch floppy diskettes that we would put stuff on. So if any of you got any of those and the label was crooked, that was
That
my
was you.
handiwork. I mean, I tried the best I could, but I had more crooked ones than my sister. But
Oh, I remember having my kids do labels on the Christmas cards and being like, redo this one, redo this one.
free help, it's hard to
Yep.
complain much, but um so it's been great, and over the years I became more involved there, and what I always loved about my involvement with money tracks and the circle of wealth system was really that impact that it had, not only on the practice of financial advisors, but the reason that it had an impact was that it was allowing them to communicate truths about personal finance in a way that they weren't able to quite as well previously. And
Correct.
I think when you are able to see the truth, when you are able to walk a person through the steps of a conversation to get from here's what the general consensus is about topic A or B, and we're walk through and dissect it and look at it, is that factually true or accurate? Why and why not? And when we get to the other side of it, you know, you almost can't really argue with the truth. Once you're able to see it, you get it. And then you wonder, well, why didn't anybody tell me this before? Why, you know,
Right.
why is it this everywhere? Well, we're trying to work on that part of it, and folks like Crystal, who are out there meeting folks every day are certainly part of that. This personal finance curriculum is part of that. The tools that we built for Circle of Wealth and to parlay these ideas and concepts about personal finance and financial efficiency. Our clients have always been financial advisors. They've been the conduit for that conversation to happen, but all of it was written for the general population to educate the public about what's going on. And if that was always the point and the purpose, it seemed to us that, you know, maybe we were missing the boat by waiting until someone who is of an age and a time and a place in their lives where they're looking to go sit down with a financial advisor to start solving some of these problems. One of the most valuable resources we have in preparing for our financial future is time.
Right.
So we wanted to focus with folks at a much younger age, specifically folks, students in high school and college, and help prepare them to make the decisions that they need to make in the real world to be efficient with their finances and understand some of these concepts before they even get started. To teach them, you know, a better way of going as opposed to allowing them to kind of, you know, go with the flow and what the general consensus is, and you may find down the road that might have not been the best idea. If you had better information at the time, perhaps you would have made a different decision. So that's really what we want to do within the educational system, is provide the ability to get into the nitty gritty of not only these topics of personal finance about what is a qualified plan and what does it do, but how is that going to impact me in my future? How are my decisions surrounding the dollars I put in a qualified plan going to impact my future moving forward? So we're really excited about that prospect. And as we were discussing earlier, you know, we're really trying to provide that education for people and provide that ability to reach the goals they have for their future of living better tomorrow than they are today. Is really what any of all of this is about. So.
Oh, that's so good. You know, a couple of things that popped up as you were talking about helping walk people through that path to that aha moment, that understanding. And you're right. I think it's your father that always says, if what you thought to be true wasn't true,
When
when
would you
would
want
you
to know?
want to know? And what happens is so many, just like you said, don't even know that it's not true. So they're trying to do, and they're so faithful, James. I mean, they're doing what they've been told to do with their 401k, and they're paying off their mortgage, and they're doing all these things because they think that's the truth. But when we can have the software that allows us to understand the principles to come to that aha moment, we literally can change their lives. It's a belief changing business that we're in. And I just absolutely love it. So, just to clarify for our listeners, because you and I understand this, and it's kind of cool that we're side by side here. You have the one channel where you have the financial advisor. And the financial advisor has been, if as long as they choose to be involved with money tracks and use a Circle of Wealth software, they can provide this training to their clients. But what happened is, if you weren't working with that advisor, well, so sorry, Charlie, you didn't get to have the knowledge that Circle of Wealth could bring to the table. Now, through PEM Life, what we've said is, yes, you still have the column with the financial advisor, but let's also bring in the rest of America who hasn't been working with a financial advisor, who maybe hasn't reached the age where they could, and begin teaching them foundational truths so that by the time they are working with a financial advisor, they can just skyrocket because the financial advisor doesn't have to peel back and undo all the wrong things that were taught. They have such a great way that the two of them can work together. And that's what we're talking about, correct?
Absolutely. You really got one shot at this, and
Mhm.
you have the income that you are able to generate over your lifetime, which is finite. You might have unlimited potential, but there is an amount of money that you have to work with. And that amount has to solve all of your financial issues, not only for your current lifestyle presently today, but also for the lifestyle you intend to live in the future, perhaps at a time where you no longer have an income, whether you decide to retire or you're unable to continue in the workforce. You're going to have financial responsibilities that you need to take care of, and that one set of resources is all you've got to utilize to cover all of that. And so, using those resources with efficiency and
Yes,
understanding
yes.
some of these concepts that allow you to do that is massively important.
Well, we have an intern, Logan, that had come to our office, and the first thing that I had him do was sit down and look at the PEM and PEM Life and get involved in it. And we showed him the lifetime capital potential. And in a moment, we'll pull up the PEM. But James, when I went through that and showed him what would pass through his hands, and he said, well, maybe I can make $75,000. That was his big goal. That's what, every year for the rest of his life. I said, at that amount, look what will come. And it
Mm-hmm.
totally blew him away. And then we said, now this is the part that gets taken out for taxes. Here's the way that we fund things, are taught to fund our debt. And here's lifestyle. And he just watched it erode away.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then, it was so exciting because I said, but in working together, we can show you the proper way to handle those major capital purchases in life. We can show you what is the best way to handle debt to reduce the amount of money that would be lost unknowingly and unnecessarily. Just so powerful. So instead of just alluding to it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you pull up the PEM, and I'd like you to go through it just in case someone's listening and maybe they haven't heard us talk about the personal economic model.
Okay,
Perfect.
so this is the personal economic model here. And the first thing that you need to have for any of this to start working, we're going to get rid of these for the time being, is an income. You need a job.
Mhm.
And once you have income coming in, it's going to flow into this huge tank over here on the left called your lifetime capital potential. Now, it is the largest tank because it represents all of the money that you are going to earn over your lifetime. As we were just saying, it's a big amount, but it is also a finite amount. Sometimes we can get lulled into a false sense of security when that paycheck comes every single month, that it's just going to keep coming every single month. And so we sometimes focus on solving the issues to get from this paycheck to that paycheck, and we don't see things as a whole. And I think on the whole, if we saw it differently as that whole, we might make decisions
Mhm.
differently. So when that money comes in, some of it, if you are in a qualified plan, a 401k, some of it's going to come right out of the top of your paycheck and into this investment tank over here. And that is going to increase over time, fill up this tank. But the majority of that money is going to fall to the bottom of this tank. No money actually sits in here, and it's going to come to you in the form of your monthly cash flow.
Mhm.
Um, the first place it's going to stop is this tax filter right here. This is where the federal and state governments take their share of your hard work and your earnings, and we get what's left over. As we continue, the flow of money continues past this tax filter. We run into this piece right here in the center called the lifestyle regulator. Now, this is the most important part of the entire model. Everything that happens in the model happens based on your decisions right here at the lifestyle regulator. This is where financial efficiency happens.
Mm.
The lifestyle regulator. What does a regulator do? Well, it regulates. What does it regulate? It regulates the amount of after tax cash flow we allow to flow this way to fund our current lifestyle. And these dollars are spent and gone forever when they pass through here. This is the house we live in, the car we drive, the school we go to, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the entertainment, everything goes this way. What it also regulates is the amount of money we pump up this tube here in the center, labeled our future lifestyle tube, to put into these two tanks, our savings and investment tanks for our future.
Mhm.
Now, why would anybody want to divert savings or divert money away from their current lifestyle and set it aside for their future? Well, presumably, we want to be able to live in the future at least the same, if not better, than we live today. And if that is our goal, we need to make calculated decisions with what we do with our finances right here at this lifestyle regulator. And the point of any of this, what we would like to have happen, is we are taking the income over our lifetime as we earn it. It's going to come through this tax filter. Some of it's got to go to flow over here to fund our current lifestyle, but also a portion of it needs to come up this future lifestyle tube in order to fill these two tanks to the point at which in the future, when this income goes away, when we no longer have this income, when this is all we have left, we're going to open up these valves here and we're going to allow this to fund our lifestyle in the future. This is financial balance. For you to be able to live in the future like you live today, you need to balance how much of your income is going to your present lifestyle and how much is going to your future. Now, when you work with clients, certainly as part of this curriculum, we get into the lifestyle regulator and actually quantifying what that amount looks like. How much do you need to be saving on a monthly or annual basis in order for you to be able to retire and continue living your same standard of living all the way to life expectancy, adjusted for inflation? These are the four most important financial questions we're going to face. How much do we need to be saving to reach our goals? Seems like a no-brainer question to ask when you sit down and think of it. How long are you going to need to work in order to earn the amount of money that you're going to need to fund that lifestyle in the future? What kind of rate of return do you need to target to be able to earn in your investments over that period in order to allow you to do that? And then finally, the fourth of the four questions is, if you don't do anything differently than you are doing now, if you do not fund your future lifestyle, okay, and all of our money is coming through as we earn it, and it's coming through that tax filter and into our current lifestyle, we have no future in this instance. And that's not the place when you ask people, do you want to live a lifestyle in the future that's A, better than you live today, B, at least the same as you live today, or C, less than you live today? I don't know anyone who's going to answer C.
Nope.
Not a person. But that lives in contradiction to the way a lot of the time we manage our finances in our day-to-day living. At this lifestyle regulator, some of the decisions that we are making would indicate that we would answer C when in fact we want to answer A or B. So it's working through some of those things and some of those misconceptions we have, taking a look at exactly what we need to be doing in order to affect the future that we want to, is what this entire model is based on. It allows, whether you are an advisor in the office speaking to a client, whether you are an educator in the classroom speaking to students, it allows you to communicate these concepts and to get them across in a way visually that helps to solidify that point in what is happening.
And James, what you said, you articulated it so well. This personal economic model can answer all the financial questions, and it makes it so you can see it. Because like you said, there are things that we've heard and we think, but we never see it played out. And when you remove those tanks and say, there is no yellow tank, there is no green tank, everything you have is being consumed and lost forever. And yet you're telling me you want the same lifestyle in retirement that you have today, adjusted for inflation. You're not living what you're saying you want. And then we can actually show them. Now, what I love is it's not just, oh, okay, see, you're consuming everything you have. Good luck to you. It's literally a training of saying, okay, now we know where we're starting from. Let's start learning how this money really works so that we are living the same lifestyle that we want. We are living, our lifestyle is in agreement with what our goals are. So that's where I see a lot of, not only as a financial planner we bring to the table, but for those who aren't ready yet to go to a financial planner or they're preparing, this is where PEM Life is so golden because you have this picture. And for those who maybe you're listening to us on the podcast, I would encourage you to go to the Crystal Clear Finances YouTube channel. You're going to be able to see all of that. I'd also encourage you to go to the PEM Life so that you can see what's going on. But while it looks like a simplistic picture, like plumbing schematics, I remember I heard, and I apologize, I don't know who to give credit to, but simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And this simple tool, quote unquote, simple, this tool will revolutionize people's financial lives for generations if they will take time to learn through it. And I guess that's what I kind of like to segue in, unless there's something else you'd like to show on this, because I know we can deal with houses, we can deal with mortgages. But I want to also make sure during our time together that we also show what they can learn, how they can learn more on it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you a look at our personal finance curriculum. It is Personal Finance Illustrated. This happens to be our self-study edition, and it's made for working professionals who
Wow.
want access to the information without all of the academic requirements of earning a
Mm-hmm.
grade and all of the kind of busy work that is often associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
This gives you access to the information and the tools that you're going to need to understand these concepts. So let me just walk you through some of the things that we
Great.
go through. We're going to take a deep dive into the personal economic model. It is a simple model, but it literally the entire world of personal finance lives on that one single page, and
It
the
does.
different directions that you can go and you can educate someone with. It's quite literally endless.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take you a little bit deeper into the model with this course. We're going to get into the time value of money and discuss why a dollar that you have today is worth more than a dollar you might have in the future. We're going to go through the lifetime capital potential and look at the finite nature of the dollars that we expect to earn. Look at some of the ways that we typically spend those dollars, and look at the danger of maybe not having things left over, not having enough, making the right decisions at that lifestyle regulator to fund the kind of future that we anticipate having in the future.
And James,
Uh,
a comment on that one too. I remember Logan, our intern, one of the comments that he had made is when we went through the lifetime capital potential and saw how much little was left over, I said, well, what if we just do what everyone tells us and get a really good rate of return in the market? That should solve everything, right? And I plugged it in. I was able to show him. And I said, no, you're just broke at a higher level.
yep.
And when we begin to see the actual, so they're going to be learning in here, but it's going to bring those aha moments of, oh, that isn't true what they've been telling me. This is what's true. So continue on, but that was a game changer for him.
Absolutely. It's not the amount of money that we are earning or what we are spending that money
Mm-hmm.
on necessarily. It's, are we living a balanced financial lifestyle? Are
Correct.
we considering our financial future along with our present financial position?
And
So,
when I'm meeting with millionaires, James, they are literally saying, I want to be efficient. So you're reaching people at 13, 14, I mean, however young that they plug into this, whether it's through homeschooling, whether it's a teenager or a young adult now is learning this. But if they can learn the truths now that the millionaires are saying, help me be more efficient, think of what life can be for them. Whew. All right, keep
that's
going.
that's what these units are built on. So each and every one of these units, you can think of them as how to make efficient financial decisions
Mm.
related to this particular topic. We get into opportunity cost and the role that plays long term with our finances, what we might be giving up unknowingly or unnecessarily by spending our money in a particular manner. Very, very important topic there. The tax filter. We're going to get into the history of taxes. We're going to look at the federal progressive tax system and how that works. Things the government controls, not only the tax rate, but also the tax thresholds. It's very important to understand. A lot of the dollars that we earn over a lifetime are going to come right here. So we want to make sure that we are efficient in the manner that we approach that and understand taxes in the same way that our government understands and sets tax policy. Very, very important. We're going to get into more about that lifestyle regulator, answering those 4 questions that we discussed a little bit earlier. That is a great unit there. We get into temperament and its impact on the way you make financial decisions. Our good friend Rodney Cox at Ministry Insights has developed a wonderful tool for us to use, a personality profile. So everybody that takes this, I think it's a $30 or $40 value if you were to go to his website and get this. It is absolutely phenomenal. The insight that this will give you into the way you personally make decisions, how you solve problems, process information, manage change, and see the rules. It all impacts the way we make financial decisions as well. So understanding some of those tendencies is very, very important as well. Eye-opening lesson here. This is one of my favorite units within the entire course.
Well, and I just to jump in there on that one, that was something that I use with my clients, but also I use with my husband to see how we process the information. So I know George is going to need a ton of information and he's going to make that decision very slowly over time, whereas I'm going to be quicker. Yes, I'm going to look at the facts, but I'll just have a different temperament when it comes to. And then I looked how it applied to all of my children. So this is such a great tool, especially as people go into a relationship and get married, understanding it's not just, oh, do they know how to add money or keep a checking account? It's, okay, how do we work together as a team, giving each other what we need so that we can be successful in this area?
Absolutely. It's managing that relationship and managing the journey and recognizing that everyone's journey and their perspective is going to be unique. Their approach to solving is going to be very, very different. I can attest that I would be hanging out with George and my wife would be right there with you going, come on, I'm already here. Where are you? You're holding me up. Let's get, it's important to understand those things and recognize that, that we are different for a reason and that can be either a strength or a weekness. And if we can recognize it as a strength, then
it has saved me many times, Mr. George, saying, just pump the brakes on this a little bit. I'm like, what? I've got it all figured out. So
right. So we'll take a look at those things, and you can see it's amazing how accurate the assessment is. When you get it back, you're like, man, how does it know this?
Right.
It's a great unit. Moving on, we've got the importance of protection and the role that plays, and not necessarily moving you forward financially, but at least being an anchor in case something happens. At least we're not going backwards there. We get into debt, what debt is and what it is not. We'll go through some of the misconceptions about our approach to debt, some of the traditional thinking about what debt is and when it exists, whether or not we owe someone money. Does that automatically mean we are in debt? Why or why not? And how, given our understanding of that, how might that influence the way we make decisions with our finances based on that? Great way to focus on financial efficiency, particularly with regard to debt. It's something that we all deal with, and it's something that I think many folks will learn quite a bit about what debt actually is from this particular unit.
I agree.
Paying cash or finance. We've all heard if you can pay cash, you can't afford it. Is that necessarily true? And why or why not? Why might that be true? Why might that statement not be true? What do we need to understand about the relationship of making a decision about whether to pay cash or finance? When would we do one over the other? Why would it be important to do one or the other? What do you gain by doing one over the other? And what are you giving up? Eye-opening lesson there as well. We'll get into the investment tank as well as the savings tank, some of the accounts that live there, what they do, how they operate, the benefits that exist within different account types within those tanks. Depending on where you're putting your money, it's important to understand how those kind of accounts operate. We get into access to capital. The number one way to relieve stress in your financial life is to have access to capital. When an unexpected expense comes along, and you need to solve it today, you need access to capital in order to solve it. Now, there are lots of ways to get access to capital, and some are more efficient for your overall financial well-being than others. Both will solve the problem, but how efficient are we being with the resources that we have in order to solve that problem? There are strategies that one can employ that would move you forward financially, whereas other strategies you might apply might be moving you backwards. What are those strategies? How does it all work? How do we make efficient choices when it comes to handling those kinds of situations? We get into qualified plans. Your 401k account. Most people in America, if they are saving money for their retirement, a 401k is going to be involved somehow, some kind of way.
Right.
We think it is critically important for you to understand exactly how these accounts work, what they do, why they do it, how we often misperceive what they do, how we might be led to believe by certain language that they do some things that they actually do not. And understand how the government sees the money that's sitting in that qualified plan. Very, very important topic for our future. Particularly if that's where the majority of our savings are going to prepare for our future. We need to understand exactly how those accounts work and what some of the dangers that might exist in having our money there. Moving on, mortgages. We get into mortgages. It can be a hot button topic, but I think this is one of the biggest units where we go through and talk about if what you thought to believe was not true. When would you want to know? We'll get into financing a mortgage. Is a 15-year really better than a 30-year? Why or why not? If a 15-year mortgage is better than a 30-year mortgage because of the interest that you're saving, wouldn't the best thing to do would be to pay cash up front and have no mortgage at all? What would the opportunity cost of such a decision be for our long-term financial future? And would that, considering the opportunity cost, be the best decision in our financial future? Is that a decision that is the most efficient way to pay for our house? We think everybody should have their house paid for, but depending on the way you choose to pay for that house might create wealth transfers that you don't even know to look for and able to see. So great unit there. I think you'll find a lot in that unit as well. And then finally, we go through our PEM Life principles and walk through kind of the main topics, the main points, and summarize all the things that we have learned. Again, why is it important? Why is it important to understand financial balance? Why is it important to make calculated decisions at the lifestyle regulator? And why is it important to go through all of these topics? I mean, there's a ton of stuff in here. Why is it important to go through each and every one of them and have an understanding about each and every one of them? Because each and every one of them is going to play a critical role in the soup that's created to build your financial future. We need to have an understanding, an uncommon understanding of these topics. And as we said before, I was a finance major. I grew up, obviously, with my dad doing what he was doing. and people that know my dad and ask me what I was majoring in or at the time, or they ask me now what I did in college. They go, "Oh, you were a finance major. That makes all the sense in the world. I see exactly how that happened." And some of that might be true to a degree, but personally, I felt that a degree in finance was going to serve me no matter what I did.
Right.
But the reality of the situation is that when I got there and when I went through and took the classes and got my degree, I didn't get anything that was anywhere close to
Yeah.
any of this stuff that is in this course. Things that advisors such as yourself are helping people to understand and work through as a financial advisor, helping them to improve their financial position for the future. What a blessing it would be if we are able to give this to students and help them to
Mhm.
understand these things in a way that when they get out there and they earn that first paycheck, they understand that they are going to be required from this first paycheck to my last paycheck. I've got to figure out my present lifestyle as well as my future. And
Yes.
how do I make efficient decisions with this income that I'm earning that's not going to last forever, that's going to allow me to live the kind of lifestyle I want in the future? It's a no-brainer to me, and I'm excited to be able to share it with others. And I think everyone who embraces this curriculum, everyone who takes the time to go in here and go through this stuff, because it's not easy. But to be where others cannot be, you have to do what others are unwilling to do. And if you are willing to do it, or if you are willing to embrace this curriculum, I believe without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to have an absolutely positive impact on your financial future.
Oh, well said. And I love your enthusiasm. And wow, I totally agree with all of that. I mean, I think about the fact as a certified financial planner, James, they didn't have this in the CFP curriculum. And you
Nope,
think this would be what the CFP
you
curriculum,
would think.
but it's not. And that's why, when we began seeing this, when I first Circle of Wealth, I was like, this is a game changer. And now that there's PEM Life, that we can reach the next generation, like you said, what a gift we can give. And it all goes back to that simple, quote unquote, picture of the personal economic model and everything you just read there. All those 15 core units, 64 individual lessons, 30 financial calculators, hours of video instruction, all of that goes back to that picture of understanding your personal economic model from the time money gets in your hand till it's consumed and lost forever. What are the choices you're going to make? Woo! And we can help change those choices so that they're good, that they help the next generation. So let's, first of all, thank you for going through this, but let's take just a few moments for those who are listening. What's the logistics? How do they get involved? What does this cost? Let's kind of walk through how they can get started.
Sure. So I'm going to go over here to our website, pemlife.org. If you're interested in learning more, we've got a ton of information for you about who we are, what makes the course different, what we teach. I alluded to a lot of these principles as we walk through the different units, but you can come kind of get a 1 minute, 2 minute taste of some of
Mhm.
these things and what we teach through here. Um, but there's more information about who we are and what we do. So we have courses that are built specifically for instructors teaching at the high school and college and university level. That'll allow them to meet those academic requirements. We have the same thing for homeschoolers. It's equivalent to a 3 hour credit course at the collegiate level. Everything you need to do a self-paced, self-study for a grade is available within those versions. We also have a corporate segment. There are companies that you have heard of involved in financial services that are using these same units, these same lessons, these same concepts and strategies and ideas to educate their employees about how these financial mechanisms work. They
Mhm.
see the value in utilizing this same curriculum to teach the folks that are there working in their company every single day. So it's a massive endorsement, and we're excited to have it. But what is most applicable probably to your audience is going to be this self-study course here.
Right.
Um, so we can come in here and get more information about the course. We've got a little video here. We can click here to get started and go to the checkout page. We've got two versions. We've got our standard curriculum, which is our 15 core units, the 60 individual lessons, and then our PEM Life principles that we just went through. In addition to that, we also have a biblically based curriculum that's going to add 3 additional biblical units. The price is the same for both of those. So it's $99 for you to access this. But with our relationship with Crystal, we do have a discount code that's in place for you that you can utilize to get that for less. But that's how you get involved. If you're looking to take this curriculum, check out our website, check out some of the things. There are ways to contact me and contact us if you have questions, want to take a closer look. You can sign up and get a it's an email sequence of about 4 or 5 emails that kind of goes through why I think it's important for folks to be involved in this. And then you can check out, you'll receive access to the course and the curriculum. Like I said, it's self-paced, self-study. You've got 180 days access with the course. It is set up for in a school environment to give them 1 semester to get through all of the material, and it's more than enough time than you need to get through it. We've had people ask about, well, what if I'm not through and finished? And give me an email, we'll work through that with you. But I haven't had to give anybody extra time in order to do it. So
Now, and James, you also are, this is being taught in some colleges too, correct?
Absolutely. We've had a great relationship with Dr. Joe Calhoun at Florida State University. We had the privilege of meeting him a number of years back. We built this course during COVID, and a friend of a friend said, hey, I think you ought to meet this guy I know, Dr. Joe Calhoun. So it turns out he's the chair of the economics department at Florida State University, and he's in the midst of talking to the board about getting a financial wellness program kicked off on his campus. And we sit down with him and we show him the personal economic model and what that can do for the future of people who are applying the concepts that are taught there. And he threw away the book that he wrote and he said, you know what, I'm using this moving forward. He said today, to quote him exactly, he said, this has become the cornerstone of my entire financial wellness program at the university. It's been absolutely phenomenal. He teaches multiple courses throughout the year on personal finance to multiple different sets of students. He also utilizes the model in an intro to economics course that students are getting there. They have student-led gatherings that they use on campus. They're all over campus with tents and flyers, and it's a wonderful program. They're meeting with students during the evening. They have faculty that are sitting in on these meetings because there's a real thirst for the knowledge that the personal economic model and these tools and resources that we have developed will allow others to receive access to, and it's phenomenally important. I think number one, to be able to provide that, but to see the response and to see the people who are engaging with it and going, yes, I agree, I agree that this can be beneficial for me. I agree that I want to take the responsibility to start taking the steps I need to achieve the financial future I've always hoped for in the future. I've always presumed that I would one day, run into, but now we're going, well, if I'm ever going to do that, there are things that I need to do. There are things I need to know and understand about how I'm going to manage my money that's going to allow that to be possible in the first place. So very, very, very exciting times. We're looking to do this in other places, reaching out with the blueprint we have put in place with Dr. Calhoun at Florida State University. It's an easy transfer to other places across the country. So that's what we're working on now.
Wonderful. Well, James, thank you so much for all the time that you spent with us today. I greatly appreciate it. I believe it's going to change lives. So thank you for being our guest today.
Thanks so much for having me.
And for all of our listeners, I want to strongly encourage you to go to PEMLife.org and take the standard curriculum. You can get the biblical one, and you can have our code of CCF20, and it will take $20 off. Now, I want you to understand this. It's not you get $20 off, but Crystal gets something from PEM Life because there's some type of code that works behind. No, this is something that I want to do because I believe it's right for you. If we can begin to make a change in the lives of one another, if we can understand how money really works, think of the impact it will have on our families, on our neighborhoods, our states, and ultimately our nation. And so to me, it is well worth not being compensated in that sense, as far as giving on the code, because it's going to make a difference in your life. And that is the best gift of all. So please go to PEMLife.org, sign up for your curriculum. You've got 6 months that you can really study. And that's, my friend, is just the beginning. So I encourage you to do that, and then join us again next week as we continue to provide financial clarity so that you can have confidence for every financial decision. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you.